Now, my next guest, I saw him last Thursday. I was in D.C. He's being celebrated, and you should celebrate this young man I have on the phone right here, because I'm telling you, the reaction and the uplift, and we're going to talk about that, to him has been amazing. He's the CEO and executive chairman of Sundial Brands, founder and chairman of Essence Ventures, which includes Essence Magazine and Essence Festival. Please welcome to Money Making Conversations, Richelieu Dennis.
Good morning.
How you doing there, sir?
I am fantastic. And yourself?
Great. I know you. Now, I saw you last week, and I just got to say this. I was sitting in the audience that was dominant with females. It was being put on by Sheila Eldridge, and of course, who also was being honored was Michelle Ebanks, who's the president of Essence Magazine. When you come in a room like that, Rich, emotionally, people are so proud that a black person has repurchased Essence Magazine and Essence Festival. What responsibility comes with that?
Well, the responsibilities that come with that are actually challenges that I think we all live with day in, day out.
Yes, sir.
They just become more elevated, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest challenge is that we are in a battle for our culture.
Yes, sir.
Right? In a battle to own our narrative, in a battle to establish ourselves as entrepreneurs and as business leaders, and in as much as anybody else can be considered a business leader. So, those pressures, those challenges, those responsibilities, I think we all face in day out. But they become elevated when you do it on a national stage. And so now what we've got to do is make sure that we're delivering for our culture, delivering for our people, and providing a pathway so that our youth can see how this journey too is theirs.
It was interesting. What my biggest takeaway from you is that you're willing to share. You're a real community guy. It's about the community. It's about family. It's about paying it forward. Where did those values come from?
Yeah, I was raised by a single mother, and she was raised by a single mother. And, I had the good fortune of watching my mother and my grandmother use the communities that we lived in to raise us, leverage the communities that we come from to ground us in culture, to ground us in ethics, to ground us in mission, and to ground us in purpose. And so that was ingrained with me from a very early age. And I was able to see how, as a community, how investing in ourselves, in partnering with each other and giving each other opportunities, and I think most importantly in trusting each other.
Yes, sir.
She was able to do things with us that she would not have been able to do on her own.
Now
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it was really, because it was really amazing in the room, because when you said, you was raised by a single mom, it was like applause just broke out. Yes! You're delivering so many slices of life and so many levels of uplift for so many women. That's what it was like. I'm telling you something, man, watching you command that room and watching people look at you, it's really, you got something special happening around you. I'm sure you're aware of that, correct?
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's that, now, fortunately,
yes, sir.
Many people get to experience it because, as I said, it's much more known, right? What we're doing now, we've been doing the same thing for 27 years.
Yeah, right. You buy Essence. Now everybody say, where this guy come from?
Exactly. But what we now have the good fortune of is scale, right? And visibility and and a platform,
Right.
that we can now share this from, and an audience that is now engaged and is acknowledging the journey that we're on, and so now our job is to bring more and more people into this journey and to spread the message so that they too can figure out what their role is, because there's a role here for all of us, right? And not only is there a role for all of us, we all must play a role.
Right.
You're playing a role.
Yes, sir.
I'm playing a role. We all must play a role, because if we don't do that, then we're weaker as a community. If we play a role and if we step up and shoulder the responsibilities for each other, then we now have an opportunity to go out and compete and to win and to use each other to create this ecosystem that will allow us to win. Right now, we're all doing it independently. We've got to do it collectively.
It's really timing's everything. Because I get the weekly. I'm on the Essence mailer. I get the emails and the updates and all that stuff. And when you purchased it, it was like it had people. It felt like the email was dancing and celebrating. Email was like, yeah, we back, we black. It was like it really was and timing's everything. Then you come right on to that Black Panther run. You know what I'm saying? And I know there's a lot of, police issues that we have out there in the streets that we're trying to deal with. We're protesting. But to celebrate what you guys are doing, to see that we can achieve this level of success and positivity, knowing you have this strong digital presence with Essence, knowing you got, this over 1.6 million, I believe, monthly subscribers to the magazine, that platform, the social media platform, you have arrived in a place that I'm sure did it take you back, the reaction? Because everything's, knew what you were buying, but the emotional uplift to this country and to the female populace was amazing, man. I have to say that I didn't expect it. When you made the deal, I was impressed. I said, go for it. But the emotional reaction has been amazing, sir.
Yeah, I think you can never underestimate the power of freedom.
Yes, sir.
Right, and the power of liberation, and that's what we saw, and that's what we experienced. We saw women celebrating their voices being liberated, their platform being liberated, their callings now being front and center by them and for them. And so, it was really, really exciting.
Congratulations.
And I think, thank you. And I think what's important now is that we don't stop at the celebration.
There you go.
Right? The celebration was just the ticket for admissions.
And I got that from you, though. You're not a guy, you're not a celebrator. You're like, let's put down the champagne glasses. We got work to do.
Exactly.
We got a lot of work to do because you're a visionary.
Got a lot of work to do.
A visionary.
Yeah.
I know we're about to run down a town this first break, but I want to mention the fact that Sundial, you have 4 brands that you are the CEO on the Sundial brand, which is Shea Moisture, Nubian Heritage, Madam C.J. Walker, and is that Nikeo?
And Nikeo. Yes,
Nikeo Heritage. And these are brands that you are right. Like you said, I don't know how they talk me to keep running this company, but that's your vision, though. I know why you're still there, because it's like, you have you know exactly the vision, how they emotionally touch people, and watching you communicate. That's why I'm so happy before the interview I got to see you live. Because I'm just going to keep complimenting you, my friend. You are a special talent, man. You understand the value of community. You understand the value of unity. And when we come back, I want you to talk about that $100 million fund for women to enter into entrepreneurship and the growth from 16,000 women to 200,000 that you talked about in D.C. Because don't go nowhere. He's amazing. Hi, welcome back to Money Making Conversations. I'm your host, Rushion McDonald. On the phone, I have the CEO and Executive Chairman of Sundial Brands, the founder and chairman of Essence Ventures, which includes Essence Magazine and Essence Festival. Are you still there, Mr. Dennis?
I am right here.
Good. Before I go any further, I want to talk about a couple of things that really caught my ear when I was watching you speak in D.C. It was a program called New Voices for women, entrepreneurship opportunities for women of color. Can you expound on that?
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that we've found as we've been building the Sundial business has been, and you know this as well as probably every single one of your listeners, the challenges that we have as entrepreneurs of color in raising capital.
Right.
And the disparity within which we have access to capital. And so as we've become, more and more, as we've grown more and more and we've become more and more successful, our model has been what we call community commerce, and that is reinvesting your profits where you make your profits. So we make our profits in Black communities around the globe, and so what we do is we invest back in those communities with the profits that we make. And so understanding the challenges of building a business, just being an entrepreneur, then understanding the challenges of being a Black entrepreneur, and understanding the challenges that go beyond that for women of color entrepreneurs who have even less access to capital. We decided that we would put a fund together, partnered with Unilever on this, to put a fund together, $100 million fund, to invest in women of color entrepreneurs, because we're never going to have the economic stability that we need in our communities when the women in our communities aren't economically independent.
Now,
and so we want to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. When I would say the first thing people are going to go, is this going to be a Shark Tank type participation? How does one, and it may be early in the stage of conversation here, how would one be able to become a participant?
Yeah, so it is early, but what we're now doing is saying, go to the New Voices Fund, thenewvoicesfund.com, and you can submit your information there. We're gathering that information now. People are submitting their business plans, their pitch decks, and then those then get reviewed. We have not officially launched yet, but it's good to get your information in ahead of time, and then we'll start evaluating those and reaching out to those that have presented plans that are interesting. Our key focus is your business going to be a profitable business?
Yes.
Right. And then, so you start there, but also, what is its contribution back to our communities? What is its contribution back to our society?
The give
How
back.
is it moving? Yeah. How is it moving us forward? Right. Because it's not just about being able to create a business that enriches oneself. It's about being able to create a business that enriches our community. And so that's the preliminary criteria that we're evaluating. And it's amazing to see just how many talented women of color entrepreneurs there are out there. What incredible businesses they're running. And to be in a position to help them alleviate some of the challenges, because for us, it's not just about providing capital. I mean, we all know that capital is important, but equally important is access to markets, access to buyers, access to information. Right?
Richard, that's why I created Money Making Conversations. Because of the fact that it's about information, and you're so right. I'm information, you money, because I'm trying to just connect.
Great marriage.
It's great because I'm trying to connect the dots. Because what I don't want to have happen this time around is for the African American community or the community of color to be left out. We've been left out of Silicon Valley. Supposedly. We've been left out of technology, supposedly. Now we have a very powerful 18 to 34, they call it the entrepreneurship generation. And I realize that it's my responsibility at this point in life to, like you said, what do you give back? What is your legacy? My legacy is to give back and to educate. And to have you on this show is important because you're doing exactly what I need in my life right now. When this goes out on HBCU campuses, when it goes out on iHeartRadio podcast, I want to let you know that I am a soldier in your cause. So just keep me in the loop. If you have banners that need to be posted, I have over 700,000 social media followers on Facebook. I got a fan club over 250,000. I have no problem trying to get this information out because it's important. To have information that nobody knows about is not information at all.
Exactly.
And that's why you got to keep winning. Now let's break down a little information about something else you told me. Act like you was talking to me personally, and you said, "I'm sorry," but you were talking about growing the community in Africa. The above their poverty line. What is the goal there? And we all know that you have a poverty line. Living below that, that's not even living. So what is the mission there, and what is the plan there? We talked about the New Voices program here that you're developing with the $100 million. It's at the early stages, but you can go to the website and start filling out your applications. What about this program that you're developing over there?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, our business model is called community commerce, right? And it's the philosophy that you invest your profits where you make your profits.
Yes, sir.
One of our, shea butter is a big part of our brand.
Yes, sir.
It is the brand.
Yes, sir.
And it is harvested by very, very poor women in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we started this business, my grandmother was one of those women that was harvesting local produce and turning them into products. And so what we wanted to do is to move women like my grandmother up the value chain so that they're not just gathering nuts and selling nuts for pennies, but that they're actually able to create products out of that can sell at a higher dollar value.
Yes, sir.
Which then help them rise above the poverty cycles that persist in those communities. And by the way, I always want to point out to people that even though we live in the wealthiest country on the planet, there are still millions of young children in this country that go to bed hungry every night, go to school hungry every day. Right? So poverty is not limited to Africa alone in our communities. We have poverty right here. And so we're trying to solve those problems holistically with the New Voices Fund to create generational wealth for women of color here. But then also with our community commerce programs in Africa to provide those women an opportunity to create value-added products that we can then sell here and reinvest back into them so that they too can rise above poverty. So what we now have is about 16,000 women that are currently impacted by this effort, and we're looking to scale that to 200,000 over the next year.
200,000.
2 years. Yeah, 200,000.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thank you. But, it's also congratulations to your listeners. They're the ones that buy our products. They're the ones that enable us to make these investments. And they're the ones that I think need to hold other companies accountable so that they're investing their profits back where they're making their profits, right? And they're making their profits in our community. So that's what the community commerce program is.
And that's the amazing thing about this, Rich, is that you keep everything as a team. I make a product, you buy the product, I reinvest. That's a team effort.
Exactly.
That's a 360 plan. And that's why you win
exactly.
it. You got a 360 plan with Essence Magazine. You got a 360 plan with Essence Festival. Over 500,000 people attend that every year. You have a 360 plan with Sundial Brands. You keep giving back, man. I want to thank you for coming on my show.
Well, thank you for having me.
And we have to stay in touch, Rich. We got to stay in touch, my man.
Let's do it, man.